Some people leave behind memories, some leave behind questions, and some vanish so completely that even time cannot find them. Tonight, we opened 5 files, stories of ordinary people who disappeared without a trace. No goodbyes, no explanations, just silence. Welcome back to the Dark Side Files. In August 2013, 20-year-old Bryce Laspisa was making the long drive from Northern California back to his parents' home in Laguna Niguel. It was a trip he'd made before, a familiar stretch of highway, but this time, something was different. Bryce never arrived. 3 days after he was last heard from, his SUV was discovered, crashed and abandoned, near a remote mountain road off Castaic Lake. Inside, investigators found his phone, his laptop, and his wallet, complete with cash and credit cards. Everything a person would need was still there, except for Bryce. In the days leading up to his disappearance, his behavior had grown increasingly erratic. He'd spent hours sitting in his car, giving away personal items, and seemed distant and confused when talking to his parents. Did Bryce, overwhelmed by some unknown internal struggle, simply walk away from his life, seeking a fresh start in the desolate wilderness? Or did he encounter someone with sinister intentions on that lonely road? Despite massive search efforts, involving helicopters and ground crews, no sign of Bryce Laspisa was ever found. He simply vanished, leaving behind a wrecked car and a trail of heartbreaking questions. Ben McDaniel wasn't afraid of the dark. In fact, he sought it out. An experienced scuba diver, Ben was fascinated by the intricate and dangerous world of underwater caves. In August 2010, he went on a solo dive at the Vortex Spring Cave System in Florida, a popular but notoriously perilous spot. He was last seen by employees as he entered the water, but he never came back up. His truck was found in the parking lot, his wallet and phone still inside. 2 of his air tanks were discovered near the cave's entrance, suggesting he'd planned for a deep, extended dive. But Ben himself was gone. Expert cave divers searched the labyrinth of underwater passages, a place so tight and complex that it's been called an underwater Everest. They found nothing. No body, no equipment, no sign of a struggle. The official theory is that Ben became trapped or lost in the cave's deepest, most inaccessible reaches, but others whisper about different possibilities. Some believe he staged his disappearance. Others suggest foul play above the surface. The cave itself holds its secrets tightly, a silent tomb where the truth, like Ben McDaniel, cannot surface. It was a cold, stormy night in February 2000. Inside her home in Shelby, North Carolina, 9-year-old Asha Degree was asleep in her bed, or so her parents thought. In the early morning hours, they checked on their children and made a terrifying discovery. Asha was gone. She had packed a backpack with a few personal items and quietly slipped out of the house in the middle of the night, into the wind and freezing rain. Why? No one knows. Several motorists later reported a strange sight. A small girl in a white dress walking along the side of the highway. When one driver turned around to check on her, she ran into the woods and disappeared. The community launched a massive search. Days turned into weeks, with no sign of the little girl. Then, over a year later, her backpack was unearthed at a construction site, miles away from where she was last seen. The contents were bizarre, including books from her school library and other personal items that offered no clue as to their purpose. Why would a happy, well-loved child leave the safety of her home in the dead of night? Was she meeting someone, or was she running from something? More than 2 decades later, the mystery of what happened to Asha Degree remains one of North Carolina's most haunting cold cases. The morning of September 11th, 2001, began like any other for Dr. Sneha Philip. The 31-year-old resident physician left her Manhattan apartment, captured on a security camera shopping at a nearby department store. She was never seen again. In the chaos that followed the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center just hours later, her family believed she had perished while trying to help victims. Sneha was a doctor. It was in her nature to run towards a crisis, not away from it. They fought for years to have her name added to the official list of 9/11 victims, and eventually, they succeeded. But the truth is, there is no physical evidence placing Sneha at ground zero. Her body was never recovered among the rubble. No one saw her there. Her disappearance on that specific day has led to a second, more unsettling theory. Was her death in the towers a tragic coincidence? Or did she use the city's devastation as a cover to intentionally disappear and start a new life? Her personal life had been complicated, with hints of marital problems and career stress. Did Sneha Philip die a hero in the dust of the Twin Towers, or did she simply vanish into the smoke, one of the most enigmatic missing persons cases born from a day of national tragedy? On a seemingly ordinary morning in September 2007, 14-year-old Andrew Gosden did something completely out of character. He withdrew a small amount of cash from his bank account, put on his school uniform, and left his home in Doncaster, England. But instead of going to school, he walked to the local train station, bought a one-way ticket to London, and boarded the next train. The last confirmed sighting of him was on a security camera, showing the quiet, studious boy walking out of King's Cross Station into the bustling city. And then, nothing. He took no phone, no extra clothes, no passport. He hasn't used his bank account since. For over a decade, his family has waited for a sign, a message, any clue as to what happened. Was he meeting someone he'd connected with online? Was he running away from a problem at school he felt he couldn't share? Or was he drawn to the city for a specific event, only to meet with foul play? The case has been plagued by false leads and unsubstantiated sightings. Andrew Gosden, a brilliant student with a bright future, stepped off a train and into a mystery that remains one of the most perplexing and heartbreaking in modern British history. These stories leave us with a terrifying thought, that sometimes people don't vanish into darkness. They vanish into the ordinary, a familiar road, an underwater cave, a city street, a busy train platform. One moment they are here, living their lives, and the next, they are gone. These were 5 people who vanished without a trace, and these were their stories inside the Dark Side Files. Until next time, stay curious, stay aware, and thanks for watching.